Week, Stephen Manzini, and Director of SA Fashion Week, Lucilla Booyzen, who joins us from our Seapoint studios. Stephen, Lucilla, thank you very much for joining us. Lucilla, I'm going to start with you first. And maybe in reaction, I don't know if you were listening to that clip, but just to give you a sense of the clip, it's talking about Fashion Without Borders, giving opportunities to young people. I know that you've been instrumental in creating a path for a lot of young designers through SA Fashion Week and the kind of passion that you have for SA Fashion. But why are we still, after all these years, still talking about creating opportunities for young designers? Or is fashion just one of those things that we need to kind of stay on the ground, in touch with the reality, because there are lots of young designers coming through, talented designers that never get seen. And if it wasn't for platforms like the one you've created and Stephen created, a lot of designers we wouldn't know today. Lucilla?
Yes, absolutely. So we have to take baby steps really in South Africa, because we don't always get the support that's needed, and therefore if we don't discover, nurture, look after these young designers, the future will be very bleak when it comes to fashion. And as you know, fashion is really a global language, and because of our diversity, we really speak to the world through fashion.
Before I throw that question to Stephen, I just want to ask, you mentioned something related to support. What kind of support would the industry need in order for more designers to not only showcase, which is the buzzword, but in order for them to become a retail success and in actual fact employ more people, grow the economy?
Exactly. So yes, it's actually not about showing at all. And we've done it the other way around in South Africa. So we're building from the top downwards, where the industry should be built from the bottom upwards. So we need more textiles, we need more manufacturing, we need more support when it comes to supporting a manufacturer that is making clothes for designers. We need more knowledge right from the bottom through retail, merchandising. The whole value chain needs to be educated, and that then will support the designer when he designs, when he's ready to start selling. The value chain that can support him to do that is ready.
Stephen, let me bring you into this conversation, because Lucilla mentioned something really interesting: support. You started Soweto Fashion Week because there wasn't enough support, especially in Ikasi, for lack of a better description. You created a platform for young designers that SA Fashion Week might not have seen. How did you start that process without support?
Well, I would say that the issue was, in fact, and it still is an issue, that there are certain designers like across different townships that don't get the opportunity, or don't even understand what a fashion week is, or what it is to be a designer. They just design for their neighbors, or they don't understand that there's a business side of the fashion industry, and that's why we ended up starting this platform. It was for those grassroots designers, the ones that didn't understand. Okay, if I'm showcasing, why am I showcasing? And commercializing their brands as well. We've got different partners that we engage with that assist designers in terms of branding themselves, actually creating their fashion brands to be ready for trade. So yeah, it was on that level that there still is a huge gap, and it's going to take some time to cover that.
Let's talk about that gap very quickly, Lucilla, and I want to bring you into this because there are just so many trends. We talk about vintage, we talk about different styles today. There's an old adage that says, the more things change, the more they stay the same. What was in 30, 40 years ago has found a new innovation or a new trend today. But are we leading that trend, or are we following? Are we playing catch up with Paris, London, Milan? Are we looking over there and going, oh, they're doing monochrome this season, let us start doing black and white this year in South Africa as well? Or are we now starting to say, hold on, we're Africans, let's create fashion that sits with our people and let the rest of the world follow, Lucilla?
It depends on where you position your business. If your business is positioned in South Africa and that is what you want to do, you want to cover the South African market and build your business in South Africa, yes, then that is the way to go. To say, I am a South African, I'm going to create what I want to do and sell it to the people in South Africa. But if you want to play a role in the international market, you have to follow the trends. That does not mean that you've got to sell your soul. So you have to look at the trends, you have to look at what people are doing. So if there is like the dresses are mid-calf, then you can't create minis because nobody in Europe is going to buy it. If the shoulders are small, you cannot create these garments with big shoulders because your market is just not going to buy it. So to a certain extent, you have to cater for your market. You have to know that market, you have to research that market, you have to almost live that market in order to deliver to that market. So I hope that answers your question.
Can I throw the cat amongst the pigeons very quickly? When you're showcasing and you're developing new designers, what are we doing? Are we following in a trend then, or are we trying to create something new, Lucilla?
You are following a trend, and at the same time, you are putting your own design soul that speaks to the soil or your country out there. Because if you don't do that, if you as a South African try to be British, you will never make it. A designer has to speak with their own design soul, and all our souls are in South Africa. We are not from another continent, so we cannot speak another language.
Stephen, Lucilla talks about design soul, but I think a lot of people are still even asking a question: can we define African fashion? What is African fashion?
I think we can. Obviously, it's a process. It's not going to happen overnight. If we can, because the thing is with fashion, you find that we're not on the level that Europe is at the moment. I mean, they've got councils, their government is more engaged with them. I mean, they can shut down the whole country, from imports, and support local designers. I think when we get to that point, that's when, it will actually make sense for them and their brands. We can define African fashion. I believe that if we do the trends that actually, there is a trend setting. There is trends that do come from Europe. However, and then we add a bit of Africanism to the designs, or flair to it. It'll work out for the designers. And I would think that we need to focus more on even if we're adding a bit of Africanism, but South Africa does need, a bit of unity in the fashion industry.
Guys, we've run out of time, unfortunately, but thank you very much. I even wanted to touch on things like what are currently hot this season, but I'm not a fashionista. But Lucilla Booyzen from our Seapoint Studios, she's a director of Fashion Week, SA Fashion Week. She's talking to us about the industry at large. In studio here in Johannesburg, we're talking to the founder of Soweto Fashion Week, Stephen Manzini, and talking about that influences related to the Africanism or the African trend. If you've got any thoughts on it, you can share and put some input. It's Morning Live at sabc.co.za. We take an ad break. You don't go anywhere.